All right. Thank you, everybody, for coming. At this time, we'd like to start with an invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance.
If y'all care to pray with me for just a sec. Lord God, we humbly come before you as a group of people who are trying to do what's right and best for this town. God, we ask for your wisdom and your guidance as we make decisions concerning this town and this community. So, Father God, I humbly come before you and ask for your wisdom and help us to make right and wise decisions as we endeavor to do what's right for this town. God, we humbly come before you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Okay, who all stand so we can do the Pledge of
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, I would like to call this meeting to order at 7:04 p.m. Can please take the roll call?
Mayor Hart,
Here.
Trustee Schaefer,
Here,
Mayor Pro Tem Schaefer,
I'm still here.
Trustee Saul, Trustee Wineland.
Here.
Oh, goodness.
Wow, that was cool.
Okay, I'm going to take one of those out.
Trevor says he's waiting.
Okay.
Okay, can you guys hear me on this one?
Yeah.
Wow, that was neat.
I don't have him in,
Okay.
I don't have him in a waiting room. I have nobody in a waiting room right now.
And we're just waiting on Trustee.
We can continue. Wait, we can, huh?
The roll call. Oh, no.
Oh,
absent.
Mona's absent. Yeah. I'm like, what? I asked all of them.
Do I have a motion to approve tonight's agenda?
So moved.
Second. Thank you. Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Tonight's agenda has been approved. Okay, now we're gonna have public comment. If there's, do we have a list of public comment?
I don't have anybody that has signed up yet.
Okay. Is there anybody online? No. Nobody online for public comment?
No, ma'am.
So we'll move on. Okay, we have a couple of presenters tonight. Kim, could you introduce them, please?
Sure. Let's see. Our first one is Speed Enforcement Program by Jerome Riordan with DACRA Tech. He's here this evening to provide an overview of the company's speed enforcement program. He's going to discuss the available speed monitoring enforcement technologies, how the program works, potential benefits, and how these tools may assist our town addressing our speeding concerns. Welcome, Jerome. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Kim. Would you like me to jump right into my presentation?
Jump right in. Yes, sir.
All right. So to kind of preface everything, so what I'm doing is giving an overview. Hold on, I got to get this to share here. How can host disable? Oh, you need to enable my screen sharing, Kim.
Are you asked? Did you hit to ask to share?
I asked to share and it says host disabled attendee screen sharing.
Do you know anything about that, Sasha? No, I can make you the host for a minute. Got to give it back though when you're done.
Okay, I'll do that.
Sure.
See if that will help.
All right, there we go. All right, you should be able to see my screen now.
There it is.
And can everybody hear me okay as well?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
All right. So what I'm going to do, what I want to do is kind of give an overview of what a ASC solution looks like. Um, there's a lot of components to it, but what I want to do is make sure you understand what those components are. If the council and the town say, yeah, we want to move forward with something like this, then we would come in and meet with you in person and kind of go through that deep dive of all the there's a lot of technical pieces behind it. So there's a lot more that goes into it than just, what it is. It's not a camera. Our back-end system does a lot of things. So my screen, there it is. Okay, now I can see my screen. All right, so our company is called Dacratech. We're based out of Chicago. We're really a software company that does adjudication and courtroom management. And we do a really good job with that. About 150 of the Chicagoland municipalities use our software for that, for e-citations and those types of things. And a couple of years ago, we got into the speed enforcement camera system. So we've got a few customers already in Colorado. We've got a number in Connecticut as well. I'm the territory manager, Jerome Reardon, that covers the West, including Colorado. I'm out here on a business trip myself right now. So let's talk about what this is and why you're looking at a speed enforcement system. They look at speed enforcement because there's speeding that goes on, and it causes traffic accidents and it causes fatalities. And this is one example, and this is from Schaumburg, Illinois, right here, actually. So that car on the left there is doing about 55 miles an hour in a 30-mile-an-hour school zone on the other side of the road. And it's actually a student from the high school. And those are middle school students back there. So, when people say I didn't see the sign, those kind of things, the signs are about the size of a student. So, it's important to understand and know that this is about safety. It's about increasing safety. And I'll show you the numbers at the end of how much the numbers decline in terms of, there's something called the 85th percentile, which is really, do you impact that? Because after 12 months, we do have to show the state DOT that here's the program, it's worked, here's the numbers that show that it's worked out there. So it's only one solution though, because you have radar feedback signs. As a matter of fact, I was at the Chiefs show in Estes today. And when we talk to customers, and we'll do traffic studies in your town to see where speeding is occurring. You'll give us feedback. You think it's here, here, and here. And then we put the tubes out and we do those traffic studies. If we don't see out of, say, 5 or 6 sites that, 2 or 3 of them don't need a camera system, we're going to recommend you using something like radar feedback signs, doing something along those lines. It's a much less expensive solution and typically will take care of some of that speeding that you have there. And of course, it starts out with just speed signs themselves. And when it gets to the end, of course, it's not a silver bullet because you do have people. And we work with a lot of the tier 2 and tier 3 municipalities, we call them, what we call the pass-through towns, where you have people driving from one side of Colorado to the other, whether it's north, south, east, west, and people are flying through those towns. And that's where the problem's occurring. So we try to focus on those towns there to make sure we can have the biggest impact in the littlest of markets. We don't look for towns of 5, 10, 15, 20, 30,000 people. We like towns like yourselves, Kiowa, because of the fact that we can have a big impact there. So what's the typical enforcement stages of the program? So that starts out with us having conversations with you, letting you know what an ASC solution looks like, what the components of it are. And then it starts with establishing and launching an ASC program. And what that is the state statute, it just got changed. If everybody hasn't seen that, the statute just changed in terms of how much, in fees we can get from a citation, the different speeds and those types of things. So that's just changed. And we follow that very closely. But you also have to have an ordinance passed in your town, and we'll work with you to help you pass that ordinance. As a matter of fact, we'll give you ordinance of other customers in the Colorado market that have worked in it, and it simplifies the process for you. And then we have to go through the AVIS process, which is really the DOT permitting process to do this. In other words, we have to submit all this information, the traffic studies and everything that we do to them, and they'll approve it or disapprove it. If they say, yeah, those are 5 major areas that we have to have some type of program there, that AVIS study does that for us. And that goes through your process there. You'll have to have public hearings. So you're going to have once you say, yeah, we want to go through this and you're working on the ordinance, those kind of things, you'll have to have a public hearing. And I did see in the video, I saw a few of the townsfolk there. So, we typically see a lot more show up because there's a lot more questions that they're going to have. And then once the program's initiated, then you capture the violation. So somebody goes through, we captured 11 miles an hour over, unless there's some circumstances where we see there's way too much traffic on that. And then we can increase it to 15 or 20 because we don't want to overwhelm the processing part that goes on there and creating havoc for the townsfolk. And because the sheriff has to be a part of this too, to do that second level of validation. I'll talk about that a little later. So we capture the image and we go ahead and we process the violation data. And then this is where we really come into play, where we're a lot different. So because we're a courtroom management system and adjudication, this is the due process that they have to go. And we own this piece right here. Most folks in speed enforcement don't do this. They put that out to a second or third party to do this. So the violator can either pay the ticket, it's $40 here, there's some fees that go on top of that. They can contest the ticket, and I'll talk a little bit more about that later, where they can contest it either online or they can get face-to-face hearings with whoever the judiciary group that you'd use, or municipality or whoever would do that, or they could just ignore it, not pay it. If they don't pay it, we'll send out a second notice. If they don't pay that, we'll send out a third notice. And if they don't pay that, we'll send out a collections notice. And if you did want to do collections on this, it's a lot of work, but if you did want to do that, we have collections companies we work with, and we can have you work with them. And then the final step of this is what I talked about before of, we have to analyze all this data. What does it look like? How much decrease have we seen in speeding? Again, I said that reporting has to go up to DOT after 12 months. We look at all that information, and we have a very extensive reporting system. Mountain View is one close to you guys, and nothing's really close to you guys, but that's a customer of ours here. He had to speak to his mayor and his city council to say, here's the impact the program's done for us in the last 6 months. And we give you that reporting so you can present that to them and show them that, yes, we're definitely having an impact on this. These are some typical camera systems out there. We use solar. And as a matter of fact, we have a lot of the mountain towns, and we use solar up there because these panels are big, and the angles that they're laid out on, snow doesn't stick to them. It slides right off. So the one on the left is in Mountain View, Colorado. One in the middle there is in Washington, Connecticut. And of course, the one on the right there is at Disney World, Florida. So it's only a citation at Disney World, but they don't like getting the warning. I should say it's a traffic warning. But we can do either AC or solar. We do have night vision capabilities. We try to look at how best we can mount these cameras to capture the best imaging on that. And of course, temperature wise, being here in Colorado, right, it goes -40 to 140 plus. So temperature wise, these are very, very durable cameras. Now, what does it look like? The state statute in Colorado has specific signage requirements. If you don't follow those requirements, there'll be backlash. And you've probably seen a couple towns in Colorado recently that made the news because they didn't follow proper signage requirements on there. So and we will work, if you tried to say to us, nope, we don't want to do that, we're not going to do those signs, and we would probably say, we can't work with you in that case. We have to do it right, because my father used to say, do it right or do it again. So we make sure that we try to do it right the very first time. But what happens, you come into town, of course, your speed limit signs, there's 3 of them. And then once you do that violation, it only captures the license plate and the vehicle. There's no other images captured on that. You can't see it. There's no forward facing cameras in this. It's only rear facing cameras, and it just captures that vehicle itself. Now, one of the things that's brought up a lot is privacy, data security. We use Azure Cloud Government, so very, very secure. Obviously, FBI, CIA, all those folks use those clouds out there. But there's only certain people that can see that data. The violator, so when they get the citation, our staff and supporters, so we have to look up the vehicle. We use NLETS to do that, and we're NLETS certified. The printing and mailing service, we're CGIS certified as well. And then our web payment service is also SOC 2 compliant. So we'll see that data there. And then, of course, that data comes to you. And you can, if you wanted to give that out to a vendor or something like you do in collections or something along those lines, then that's what you would do with that data there. Once a violation's paid, in 30 days, we do what's called Roomba. We wipe the data off our servers. It's gone. The data is never there to be seen again. So when people are concerned, oh, my data is going to be there forever, it is wiped clean once that citation's done. If it's not done in the case of people not paying the ticket, then it's in there until collections goes through. And if we do collect on that post citations issued, then we'll go ahead and clear it from the database as well. So if somebody took 6 months to pay it, it takes 6 months, but we can clear that data off there. Any questions so far?
Just because I don't know any better, that DACRA staff and support partners, and it says, you rambled off a bunch of acronyms, inlets, CJS, SOC 2. What does all that mean?
Those are law enforcement databases.
Correct. Those are law enforcement databases. Half of our company is actually retired law enforcement. So when we'll do the first validation, the step 1 validation, those are all retired law enforcement officers that do that. So when we send that information to you for the second tier of a second step of validation, you get very, very clean data. We're one of the only companies that has that out there. And we also have a call center too. So when people get these violations and I didn't do this, whatever, they'll call into our call center. It's a bilingual call center, English and Spanish. And all those folks are retired law enforcement as well. So they're trained at de-escalation. That's the great thing about that. So we can handle that. But yes, these are all law enforcement tools. You have to be certified through this process. It's very, very strict. We have to be recertified CJIS every year, and inlets is every 2 years. And of course, SOC 2 is just a payment system that's out there. But it's also government-based payment system. Does that answer your question?
Pretty much.
Okay.
What about repeat offenders?
I'll get to that in a sec. I'll show you that. There's a funny slide I have. So our chief technology officer put this together of, hey, this is ASE violation processing simplified. It's an eye chart that I'm sorry, I can't even understand any of this stuff. So this is what it is really. This is a simplified process. So once that citation or once the ticket is issued and we receive it in our system, step 1 is we confirm the violation. So we'll look at the vehicle, confirm that it's the correct license plate, the correct vehicle. This is all through inlets. Once that's done, we'll send it over you into very, very clean form. Then you have the choice to issue a citation, issue a warning, because in some cases, the first 30 days of a system, you have to do warnings. No notice in terms of you just don't want to give them any kind of ticket, or you can reject it. There's something in there that whoever was doing the second step of validation says, no, there's something wrong with this. You could send it back to us and we'll take a look at that and see what it potentially could be. And then, of course, we send out the notices. We'll send out that violation, that citation. So this is our system here, and you can see there's red, green, and yellow. And basically what this says is, okay, the license plate matches on this, but the color of the car isn't correct. So we'll go through and we'll clean all that information up. And then once it's done, we go ahead and accept it, and then we'll send it over to you. If and there's some cases where we cannot validate at all that information, and then we're just going to reject it completely. Maybe it was blurry, there was snow on a license plate, whatever it might be. We just go ahead and reject it completely. It doesn't need to go to you for any kind of second step of violation. Then after that, we send this to you. This is a step that you would take, and we're probably your sheriff department would be the folks doing this, because it does have to be a law enforcement agency person. They'll take a look and say, they'll validate everything on this and say, yes, that's the correct vehicle. That's the correct license plate. Miles, everything meet the criterion on here. We accept it. We're going to go ahead and issue a citation on this. These are what the citations look like. So in Dublin, Ohio, they only send out warnings. So they send out warnings to folks, and sometimes people get multiple warnings out there. Then, of course, you have the automated speed enforcement. This is Colorado because it's a $40 infraction here. And then this other here is, I think that's probably Connecticut out here. So these are what the validation, the citations look like. They can scan the QR code on there and do a web pay if they want to. We try to keep it very simple. If there's any questions on here, we include the certification of the LiDAR camera that's on there when it was last certified. They have to be certified every year. So we include that on here. So if they say, well, I don't believe that radar camera was certified. Yes, it was. It's here. It's right here in the notice. It shows you that there. And of course, if they want to call into our call center and say, I got a problem with this, sometimes it's elderly folks that say, I don't know how to pay this. They'll walk them through that. Sometimes it's people saying, hey, it wasn't me, it was my kid. Okay, well, if you want to have your kid pay that fine, then have your kid pay that fine. Because again, these don't go against your driving record or your insurance. These are just a civil penalty on these. And as I mentioned, so you can do web pay on a phone, you can do it on a computer. And of course, this is the form here that you'd fill out if you want to do any kind of contestation, those types of things. And that's all in our citizen portal. So you asked about habitual offenders. So this is Middletown, Connecticut. Now, Middletown, Connecticut has a very, very high rate of speeders going through their town. When we first did our traffic studies on there, it was somewhere in the range of about 70,000 violations a month. So we knew there was going to be a problem there. So typically what happens is after you initiate this in the warning phase, that goes down very dramatically, very fast. But what we did with them, because they had so many violations on there, is we said, okay, we're not going to set it at 11 miles an hour over. We're going to set it at 20 miles an hour over. So that reduced it to about 14,000 a month that they had. But this is a case here where this driver, and you can see how often they are tagged on this. So, and I mean, obviously you can see on here the, reckless driving, they have 7 of them, egregious speeding, 9, a citation eligible 5, and total speeding events 21. So this driver here is really, really bad. And look who this, and this is a company in Connecticut that transports students. So Kitty Cabs is a company in Connecticut that transports students from school to school and school to home, those kind of things. So this person obviously lost their job because once they were notified that they had this level of violations on there, it was all done. So this is the meat and potatoes. This is the stuff that's most important to towns, municipalities, cities, etc. What does my compliant drivers look like? What does that decrease in speeding infractions and increase in compliance look like? So in a case like this with Middletown, we saw in the first month, we saw 97% increase in compliant drivers. Overall speeders, 85% reduction, and reckless drivers, a 94% reduction, and continuing to go down. They've only had their system in place for, I want to say, about 7 or 8 months right now. So you can see there's definitely an impact on this. And this is at only 20 miles an hour over. We're not even looking at the ones that are doing less than that. They will eventually go to doing the 11 mile an hour over, but they wanted to make sure they pace themselves into doing this so they do it right, so they don't have to do it again and cause any issues. And this is typically what you're going to see. Again, Middletown realized, here's that red line right there is obviously uncompliant drivers, dramatically decreases down here to a very, very low number in September of last year. Obviously, compliance goes way, way up on this. And this is that the red zone there is the pre-programmed data that we received. The yellow is when we initiate a warning program. So you can see once that warning program goes into play, it drops down dramatically. And then, of course, the green zone is now the speed enforcement system's in place and tickets and violations are being issued. So this is the stuff that you're looking for. This is the impact that you want to have. And the way we know and understand what this looks like for you is by doing those traffic studies and saying, okay, here's where the problems are. And if we look at, like I said, if we look and see some of those areas where, maybe a speed camera isn't necessary there, we'll do recommendations on radar feedback signs and those kind of things. And because this funding that goes from these violations goes into the general fund for speed and safety, if you wanted to put speed humps in place, you could do that. It would fund things like that. And that's our program.
How long is the traffic study?
It takes about 7 days. So essentially what we do is I have a traffic study specialist, Jacob, and we're running one in Curtis, Colorado right now up in the northwest corner. We just put the tubes out. The first thing we do is we want to talk to you, the council, mayor. Do you have who polices your streets right now, your city right now? Is it the sheriff?
It is, and I'll be honest with you, I have a concern that arose out of this presentation because of that. When it was presented to me initially by Brandon, it was explained to me that you all would do all the vetting on your side, and then it comes to our side, and then we take it from there. There was never a suggestion that we would have to revise an IGA with the sheriff's department, which is who handles our law enforcement, to
We do the initial vetting. We do that step 1. The step 2 has to go to you, and a law enforcement official has to do that. So, we can see how we could work through different scenarios of how we could support something like that. But yeah, it has to go through that second vetting stage. Has to go through a law enforcement officer.
Yeah, that wasn't originally explained to me, and that's kind of hard when you have a really small rural municipality and a sheriff's office that is notoriously understaffed.
Yeah.
Who's going to do it?
Yeah, again, you all have to decide you want to do something like this and say, yeah, this is something we want to pursue. Again, we'll do a much deeper dive with you. We'll understand where those areas are. You might not have more than 3,000 violations a month or 100 a day, and that's easy because for the sheriff to do that second click, that step 2 validation takes about 5 to 10 seconds. So they could do that in a 2-hour period of time or an hour period of time if they wanted to.
We're considering this because we can't get the sheriff's department to sit out here and run radar.
Yeah.
So this is our alternative, and now we're asking them to do something else. So yeah, there would have to be more conversations involved in this.
Yeah, no, I agree 100% because that's just the state statute says that the second validation, that second step has to be done by a law enforcement officer in Colorado.
Is it a law enforcement officer or is it somebody certified in CCIC, CGIS, and inlets?
I don't know that. I'll find that out because I know in Connecticut it can be can't remember the term for it, but somebody that just has an authorization to do that. Let me find out about that because I'll have to dig through the statute more to see what that says in there, because it might be something that if they're CGIS and inlets certified that they could do that.
So if I reactivate my certifications, I could potentially do that in this office.
Correct. I'll find out about that for you for sure. I just took a note about that. So yes, I'll definitely do that.
Okay. Anybody else? No. Bailey, do you have any questions for Jerome?
I don't think so. I think that was probably like my main question too, is like what role the sheriff's office has to have in that, but looks like we'll get some answers here soon.
Yeah, I'll do some research on that. I head back to San Diego on Thursday, so I should be able to find something out Thursday or Friday for you.
What's the cost of implementation?
Zero. So we don't charge for the cameras. There's no upfront cost for the cameras. We do a monthly. It's like a lease. So it's either $500 or $750 a month for the cameras. It just depends on how it's installed, those kind of things. And that includes installation, maintenance, replacement, all those kind of things, and the camera itself. Then we have a processing fee we do for mailings and lookups, those kind of things. And that's custom pricing that we'll work with you on saying, okay, what fits in this? There's new statute in Colorado that we have to adhere to. But we don't people try to do this rev share stuff and all that kind of stuff. They get in a whole lot of trouble for that. So we don't do that. We just do a standard pricing structure. And you can and a lot of folks, so you can do a administrative fee. So there's a $40 fine. And then sometimes there's a few towns in Colorado that they do a $15 administration fee. And that typically covers, if not all of our fee, even more than our fee actually, because our fees are definitely less than 15.
Yeah, because I believe it was explained to me, it's a straight $40 fee or fine coming through a normal thoroughfare, but coming through a school zone, it doubles.
It doubles to 80, yes.
Okay. Anybody else?
Okay.
Thank you, Jerome.
Thank you, folks. Thank you.
I appreciate everybody's time. Kimberly, I said I was going to try to stop by tomorrow, possibly. Being in Estes, first time ever, I got altitude sickness, and I've got my little oxygen breather here thing now. Yeah. So I'll know in the morning if I can function still. So it's been a rough couple of days. So, but if I can, I'll definitely, because I'm heading out that way anyways. And if I can, I'll definitely stop by to say hi.
Yeah. Just give me a heads up. Let me know.
I will.
Drink water. It'll help.
Yeah. Lots of water. Hydrate. I know. All right.
Absolutely.
Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Can you give me back the
control? Oh, yeah. Let me do that here. Time event sharing options.
I still only have 5 people in there.
Let me know if that worked for you.
No. Well, yep. I think it did. I'm able to. Seems like it did. I mean, is it supposed to give me a notification?
If you click on share, it'll say you're able to share. Otherwise, it'll say you can't share.
Oh, okay. There we go. I think we're good.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Have a great day. Great night, I should say. Bye, all.
Take care, Jerome.